Hello everybody, it's Miss Jackie back to give you another new video. It has been a bit of a transformation journey on kind of how I actually started working with animals, because I knew at a very young age that I wanted to work with animals. In kindergarten, I drew a picture of me being a veterinarian, healing a cheetah. Definitely, I was thinking about a wildlife veterinarian. So my first animal experience was when I was actually in high school. I had they called it an externship. It was basically an internship. So that my high school provided. I'm not sure many people at my school knew about it. Back then I wanted to be a vet really badly. My first animal experience was as kind of I don't say a vet technician, but essentially an assistant. I was helping at this animal clinic. At first it was just paperwork, I'm not gonna lie. Then eventually the vet was like, okay, you can help with handling and restraining, because there's small dogs and there's big dogs, and then you have also cats. So back then I really wanted to be a veterinarian. That was my goal. I was like, I'm gonna be a vet. So I did a lot of internships after that were in animal hospitals. So then I did community college. Shout out to Miami-Dade. I did do the honors college, and then I transferred to a four-year university, which was Cornell. So obviously it's an Ivy League school. It did help a lot, which you can kind of see the big bounce between a community college and an Ivy League. Never kind of underestimate community college, because you can do anything if you put your mind to it. So all those veterinarian clinics experiences help to achieve my goal of going to Cornell. And if you guys didn't know, Cornell has an amazing veterinarian program. So I joined a lot of clubs. In the beginning, I guess in a way, if you're a freshman or you're just going in, it's not really a bad thing, because you can go to some of the meetings and then you weed out the ones that you're I'm not gonna get anything out of this. But I weeded out some clubs that I realized it's too much time commitment, because this is a hardcore school. I want to get something out of it. I joined the Wildlife Society Club, which is one of the few clubs that I decided to stay, use my time to kind of try and grow. So I ended up becoming, I want to say the secretary of the club, and it helped me to have some leadership skills. Good. I got to kind of meet other wildlife biologists out there, because there was some guest speakers that would come to the club. So that helped me a lot, because I can, put that in my resumes. I graduate from Cornell. I'm basically lost, because it's okay, I'm not gonna be a veterinarian. So what am I gonna do instead with my animal science degree? A few months before I graduated, I went to a career fair, and in this career fair, I honestly thought I had wasted my time. I signed up to so many things. I got a lot of flyers and things like that. I kept it. I kept all those flyers in a little binder that I had of careers. I had a kind of a career binder. A few weeks before graduation, I was kind of anxious, because I had no job lined up for me. Almost a lot of my friends, especially because I go to Cornell, some had already landed an amazing job, working for Google, for Apple. Some were gonna be got accepted to veterinarian programs. Some, they were going places, and I had nothing. I had this thing where I would compare myself to other people, which is a big no. I learned the hard way. Everyone's path is just a little bit different. You just have to be patient. I had applied for jobs, and I heard nothing back. I applied everywhere, even places I knew I was not gonna get, like San Diego Zoo, but that's fine. I literally had no actual paid experience. And if you guys know, if you've applied to a lot of big zoos, they want you really to have 3 years of animal experience, paid, and it has to be from an AZA zoo, and I had none of that. But that didn't really stop me from just applying to places. So I was applying to zoos, I was applying to wildlife technician jobs. And by the way, good wildlife, if you're into wildlife or zoos and you're trying to look for a job there, a good place to look for jobs, there is the AZA page. If you've never heard of the AZA page, well, I am here to open your eyes to an amazing resource. I'll probably put the links down in my bio description. One that surprised me was when I was at the career fair and I got a pamphlet, and I signed up also in their email list reserve, which I honestly didn't think anything was gonna come from it, because there's just so many people, and there were some people that were great and confident in the career fairs. They were shaking hands, they were having this full-blown like conversation with these people, and I was not doing any of that because I was awkward. I think I mentioned in my other YouTube video, there's a very special program called Student Conservation Association, SCA. So it's connected, I want to say, with AmeriCorps. I will admit, I think the cost is $20 to join in their services, and they basically, when you pay, then you have this huge website of internships just for you, and it's catered depending on whether you have experience or if you don't have experience. And they had an internship for like animal science or just environmental. And that is where I got my first real like high-end internship that had a stipend and housing include, which is basically like hitting the lottery with an internship. Because in the animal science field, I'm gonna be real here, most you just get no form of payments whatsoever, and you somehow have to get to a new place, maybe you're not even from there, and you have to survive, and it sucks. So I knew the situation was really bad because I am not rich, so I would not be able to financially afford to accept an unpaid internship. Did the internship, it was really cool. I actually moved to Vegas for a little bit because that's where the internship was located, and I know Vegas is mostly known for the casinos and things like that, but besides the strip, there is desert, and in that desert there lives a lot of different types of animals, and that's essentially where I was located, specifically in Henderson, Nevada. And essentially my job was to track desert tortoises. So the desert was definitely not, it was something new for me. So it was very beautiful. I was amazed at how much life there is in the desert that you didn't think about. I would wake up early, like you hear the coyotes howling. It's very beautiful. I've never heard a coyote in real life, and it's honestly very it's just a majestic sound. Obviously it's an internship, so it ended eventually. I applied for jobs and I also applied for internships, but I got a little surprise from one of my friends who informed me about a special internship at Disney. Yeah, you heard right, at Disney. I had heard of the Disney college program, but I didn't get too into it because I wanted a type of internship that was more specific to like my field of animal science. But then I found out that there are internships at Disney for animal science people. I know, I was mind blown. What? Where has this been my whole life? So I applied. There were a lot of animal science internships. There's kind of like different like programs. There's some for veterinarian, there's some for if you want just plants, if you want animal nutrition, if you want animal behavior, and then there's one, which is the one that I applied, which was for education conservation. Education was a little bit more of a broader program, and that's kind of like what I was looking for, because I honestly didn't know what I wanted to do. At this point in my life, I'm just going with the flow. I applied for this internship at Disney and I got in. The process for that internship, it was like the application was done. There's like you have an interview with like the general like internship program person, I guess, to make sure you're like a real person, and then you have one with like the manager. There's a lot of steps, a lot of interviews. So that was an internship that essentially changed my life. I was kind of a little bit worried, honestly, because before that internship, I had never done public speaking. I was literally that person that in my animal nutrition class, I even forgot how to speak during my presentation, doing my PowerPoint, and then I forgot how to even talk. I was mumbling. I was like, who knows what I was saying. And I do think that the Disney internship program helped me to gain the confidence to speak about conservation, and I definitely thank that internship. After the Disney internship, then I knew I still want to work with animals. So in the internship, it was just education. So I had no contact with the animals, which I was a little bit sad about, but I totally understood because they had such a really rigorous system. The care of the animals is spectacular. It's almost like if they were out in the wild. It's really great. They do a really good job of mimicking their natural habitat. Hands down, amazing. Although I loved education, I missed the part of working with animals because that's kind of like what my passion is. I wanted something that would combine education with me working with animals. So I found this job in Michigan. Yeah, I went from Florida to Michigan. Yeah, notice how I'm just flying everywhere. I'm just everywhere. I'm just like, I don't care. Where's the job? I go to Michigan and I get my first real job, my first legit job. It was a lot of work because obviously, you know, I had to work with animals before, but it was not like the amount of animals at that place in Michigan was amazing. It was outstanding. I was shocked at how many animals they had and how many I would get to work with. I was working with binturongs, I was working with muntjacs, I was working, obviously I didn't have contact with the cougar, but I helped to take care of her and I cleaned her litter box. So made her food, made her diet. I got to shadow her training and even got to like participate a little bit with her target training. So it was really an experience I will never forget. If you know me, you know I am always on the move to grow, to be a better version of myself. Was there for a year. My next goal was I wanted to work for an AZA zoo. So the place that I worked with was actually not a zoo. It was actually kind of like a nature center, like a education, like animal center. But I wanted to work with an AZA zoo because it opened the doors to the AZA network. And if you haven't heard of that, it's a huge group of wildlife, like I guess you can call it wildlife warriors, or big zoos, and also there's small zoos in the AZA network where they do a lot of conservation efforts. I'm sure the most famous one is the one, the San Diego Zoo, that everyone usually knows about. The San Diego Zoo, that, you know, they do conservation efforts everywhere. Okay, my next goal is I want to work at a zoo where they do conservation efforts. So I started applying again. This time I actually did have some paid animal experience, so it was a little bit easier. I'm not saying it was easy because I finally found a zoo. So it is a small zoo in Pennsylvania, and essentially they're in an AZA accredited zoo. So I went there because I'm like, hey, I want to work in animal conservation. So working for the first time in an actual zoo was a little bit different because there were, you know, just kind of like in Disney, because it's like an accredited facility, there's higher standards that they have to uphold. So the animals are divided into like basically departments, you know, department for like carnivores, department for like birds, or for like hoofstock, or, you know, it's more in like department. So the department I was in was back to education. Just recently I moved to upstate New York, where I'm working for, it's still a small zoo, so they're very, very conservation driven. Some keepers have actually gone out to other countries to research the animals that they are working with. So it's a pretty great opportunity. So that's where I'm at right now. So I'm essentially the coordinator for education there, and I work with like the smaller animals. I get to kind of like travel to libraries, schools, and even hospitals. So that's essentially where I'm at, and I hope my journey inspired you or maybe gave you some ideas of how to start your own journey. Everyone has their own journey. You know, everyone's unique. Don't be like, oh, I'm gonna copy everything, because you know it would be basically impossible to do the exact same thing. I mean, maybe it might work, I don't know, but if you think you're maybe in that position that you can just, you know, do that, go for it. Honestly, I think if it's a big dream of yours to work in animal conservation, you can do it. Basically, my main tips is getting an internship. Please like this video if it was informative, if you learned something new, if you want me to keep doing videos like this. I am forming a notebook of all the suggestions, ideas that people have provided for me. Well, make sure to subscribe, like this video. Have a wild day, guys. All right, see you later, alligator.